My name is Heidi Theiss, and I'm a city councilwoman in League City, Texas, and I am here to emphasize that the reason these grassroots leaders are here today is called a final constitutional remedy to what we believe and what we all acknowledge to be a crisis. We are calling upon our state leadership to step up into the role for which they were elected, and that is the safety, health, and security of our beloved state of Texas, which we now know to be in imminent danger. One of the things that prompted me in the last week to step into leadership at the local level was not just the federal mismanagement and lawlessness, which is running rampant in our state right now, specifically on the border, but also because of the lack of action and active leadership from our state officials. We cannot trust the federal government to get this crisis right because they are not only encouraging it, they are exacerbating the problem. Nor should we, as free men and women of Texas, be forced to bear the brunt of this burden of the crisis that they've created and have exacerbated through their subsequent mismanagement. Federal authorities are quite literally out of control of the health, safety, and security aspects of this crisis. This is what is typically called, in military and border security terms, an uncontrolled event. They cannot be allowed to establish a foothold within our communities. You've already heard from Joanne that they are commandeering local resources. They are bypassing your state and local elected officials. They're going straight into your communities, and many times your elected officials don't know about it until after it's happened. Then they are left to react. The people are left to react, and we've seen what happens, such as in Lawrenceville, Virginia, Murrieta, California, when it is left to the people, because they have been left vulnerable by their elected officials. They have been left bereft of leadership. State authorities must immediately call a special session to deal urgently with this crisis. However, in light of our state leadership's inaction, we local leaders have decided we must act to protect the citizens within our own jurisdictions, no matter how small they may be compared to the great state of Texas. If we leave it until the federal agencies try and work something out behind our backs within our own neighborhoods, then we too are left with only poor crisis management. To lead, we have to anticipate the problems. We have to get out ahead of this crisis and send the message that we refuse, we resist to participate in the federal mismanagement and lawlessness inherent within this border crisis. To that end, I wrote a resolution that we passed last Tuesday in League City, Texas. In it, I cite as the authority for our action our very own U.S. Constitution and Texas State Constitution. Whereas the citizens of League City, Texas recognize their duty as law-abiding citizens to act in accordance with the U.S. Constitution and the Texas Constitution, and agree that our right to life, liberty, and property shall not be infringed, and whereas the federal government has failed to protect the homeland, our country, in accordance with Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, Texans, we, the people, have the right and obligation to protect our citizens in accordance with Article 1, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution. That reads that Texas, I need to remind our state leaders of this. This is very important. Section 1, Article 1, Section 1 of the Texas State Constitution reads, Texas is a free and independent state, subject only to the Constitution of the United States and the maintenance of our free institutions, and the perpetuity of the Union depend upon the preservation of the right of local self-government, unimpaired to all the states. That is further supported by Article 1, Section 29 of the Texas Constitution. To guard against transgressions of the high powers herein designated, we declare that everything in the Texas Bill of Rights is accepted out of the general powers of government and shall forever remain inviolable, and all laws contrary thereto or to the following provisions shall be void. From there, we determined And as the rest of the experts on this panel will attest to today, we know that what the problems are that are threatening the health, safety, and security, and therefore we have resolved to not participate in the lawlessness of these federal agencies. All agencies of our city are hereby instructed to refuse requests or directives by federal agencies to permit or establish any facility for the purposes of processing, housing, or detaining any illegal aliens designated as refugee or otherwise. To do as such is a federal felony. Our feds are not going to prosecute themselves for breaking their laws, but we have no such protections. Local government, nonprofit institutions, or as individuals. We, in League City, and we, the free people of Texas, still are a people of laws. And we require that our state institutions, our state leadership, invoke the rights of sovereignty of our state, declare an imminent danger, and protect the health, safety, and security of our citizens. Our expectations are high, but they must be in order to combat this crisis. So to do so and to encourage, to demand that our state leadership step into the role for which they were elected and which we as free men and women of Texas expect. I'd like to read these words to you from Frederick Douglass in 1857. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation, such as you might be hearing today, we the people, agitating for the cause of liberty, for the cause of our livelihoods, for the health and safety of our children and our seniors. They are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. This will not be easy, Governor Perry, but you are required to answer to the will of the people. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did and it never will. Find out just what people will submit to, and you have found out the exact amount of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue until they are resisted with either words, as we are doing today, or blows, or with both. The limits of tyrants, the limit of tyranny, is prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress. As a free woman of Texas, as a local elected leader in League City, Texas, I hereby declare my resistance to the tyranny of the federal government, and I demand that our state officials step into their leadership role and declare the sovereignty and the security of Texas.